if you follow news about Identity 5 or even world news in general, you might notice that the relationship between China and Japan has started to go bad again. Unfortunately, this situation affects our everyday gaming life too, as Identity 5 and its collaborations with Japanese franchises are also caught in the middle. This means some Japanese content in the game, or even all of it, might be put on hold because of what is happening. In other words, Madoka fans who might have anticipated this possible crossover would have to wait a bit longer. Same goes for those who are anticipating some possible Japanese contents like TPN, Sanrio, and more. I first saw this news from the IDV News account on Twitter, and after reading the update, I could not help but think about the long and complicated relationship between China, Japan, and especially Taiwan. I am not an expert in politics or international relations, but today I want to take you on a simple breakdown of that Twitter post and talk about why we might not get any Japanese crossover in Identity 5 for a while. The relationship between China and Japan cannot really be summed up in just one simple term. It has a long history behind it that goes all the way back to the 19th century. From what I understand, both countries are careful around each other. They have a few ongoing disputes, from border questions to political views. Even with all that, they have still managed to keep things mostly peaceful until now. But when two countries are already cautious with each other, even one small problem can turn into something bigger. This is exactly what happened on the 7th of November 2025. The Prime Minister of Japan, Takaichi Sanai, said that if China ever attacked Taiwan, it could be seen as a situation that threatens Japan's survival. She also said it might lead to a possible military response from Japan. China was not happy at all with this statement. The Chinese government demanded that she take back her words or face the consequences. I took this report from Reuters, but honestly, almost all media in the world covered this news as well. It is pretty clear that this one remark made the relationship between the two countries even worse. With the political tension rising, a lot of things have started to feel the impact. China has already issued a travel warning for Japan, telling its citizens to avoid going there. One source even mentioned that some big Chinese airlines are giving full refunds for people who bought tickets to Japan for the rest of 2025. So, how does all of this affect IDV and the possible crossovers with Japanese media? Well, with this political tension, any issue between the two countries becomes a sensitive matter. If China dares to go as far as warning people not to travel to Japan, it makes sense that the gaming world is also affected. IDV is mainly a Chinese game, so the company might avoid working with Japanese media for now. This could be because of government instructions or simply because the situation is too sensitive. Now, what does this mean for us? It means that several Japanese crossovers that many players were excited for might not happen anytime soon. This includes big names like Madoka Magica, The Promised Neverland, Sanrio, and others. So Madoka Magica fans might have to wait longer, or perhaps even say goodbye to the idea of a crossover for now. The same goes for many other Japanese franchises. Still, there is no official announcement from NetEase yet, so let us hope that all this is just common speculation and not a confirmed decision from the company. Some of you might be wondering, why does Taiwan play such a big role in all of this? What does Taiwan have to do with the situation between China and Japan? What is actually going on here? Well, in the next segment, I will give you a short and simple explanation about the relationship between Japan, China, and Taiwan. It is not really IDV related, but I think it never hurts to understand the bigger picture a little better. So, let us dive in. Taiwan is a country in East Asia, sitting very close to both China and Japan. The closest point between Taiwan and mainland China is about 130 kilometers across the Taiwan Strait. Taiwan is also close to the southern islands of Japan, with the closest distance being a little over 100 kilometers. The island sits in a very strategic location, surrounded by three important waterways called the Taiwan Strait, the Bashi Channel, and the Miyako Strait. These areas are busy routes for international trade, because many ships passed through them to reach the Pacific Ocean, the South China Sea, and the East China Sea. This is one reason why Taiwan holds a lot of value for many countries. Taiwan has a long and complicated history. It was connected to the Chinese Empire during the Ming and Qing periods, although the level of control changed over time. In the early 17th century, European merchants, mainly the Dutch and the Spanish, established settlements on the island. Later on, in 1684, Taiwan officially became part of the Qing dynasty. The Qing ruled it for about 2 centuries. During the late Qing period, China became weaker and faced pressure from Western powers and from Japan. Taiwan caught Japan's attention, especially when Japan began expanding its influence. After the First Sino-Japanese War, China lost and had to give Taiwan to Japan. Later, Japan also gained control over part of eastern China, or Manchuria, and tensions between the two countries grew. Over time, several wars broke out, and there were terrible actions committed by the Japanese against the Chinese. I won't go too deep into all of that here. You can look it up if you want, but those acts left a long-lasting bitterness among Chinese people toward Japan. For China, losing Taiwan and suffering under foreign powers became part of what they call the Century of Humiliation. This period is roughly from 1839 to 1949, when China faced repeated invasions, unfair treaties, and lost territory to Western countries and Japan. That idea still strongly influences modern Chinese nationalism and politics. Japan ruled Taiwan from 1895 until 1945. When Japan lost World War II, Taiwan was handed over to the Republic of China, or the ROC. At that time, the old Qing dynasty was already gone. So, the ROC government, which had existed on the mainland, took over in Taiwan. But there was still a civil war in China between the ROC and the Chinese Communist Party. The Communists won and founded the People's Republic of China, or the PRC, in 1949. The ROC government and many of its army officials had already fled to Taiwan. A year later, the United States got involved. During the Korean War, the US fleet was deployed to the Taiwan Strait to prevent a possible invasion of Taiwan. This, along with the naval strength of the PRC back in the day, makes the PRC unable to do any invasion to Taiwan. The PRC claims that Taiwan is part of its territory, but the ROC in Taiwan never accepted that. Because of this, there has never been a formal peace treaty between them, which means tensions remain to this day. Japan also cares a lot about Taiwan, and there are strategic reasons for this. Taiwan sits in what's called the First Island Chain, a chain of islands between China and the Pacific. If China controlled Taiwan, its navy would have a much easier path into the Western Pacific, which could threaten Japan's security. There's also an economic risk. A lot of Japanese shipping depends on routes through the Taiwan Strait. If China controlled those waters, it could disrupt Japan's trade. Plus, Taiwan is really important in the world's semiconductor supply chain. If China took over Taiwan, it might affect how those critical chips flow to other countries, and that includes Japan. Well, folks, this is just a piece of the bigger picture. There's much more going on behind the scenes. But all of this helps explain why Japan and other countries take what happens with Taiwan very seriously. And that also helps us understand why a comment from Japan's Prime Minister about Taiwan can spark a huge reaction from China. In any case, because of everything that happened, the relationship between China and Japan has turned sour again. And like it or not, the situation also affects our daily life in IDV. The chance of having new crossovers with Japanese media might be put on hold for a while. The latest update from the Twitter account IDV Clue even mentioned that some Japanese movies are already banned in China, which gives us an idea of how serious things have become. So, for now, we might need to let go of the hope for any Japanese crossover in Identity V. New possibilities like the rumored Madoka Magica or Cardcaptor Sakura, as well as ongoing collaborations like Sanrio, will probably not happen this year, and maybe not even the next. Because of this, we might expect to see more crossovers with Chinese media instead. Personally, I'm hoping for Daomu BG or Link Click Part 3, but we will have to wait and see how things turn out. Anyway, that is all from me today. As usual, feel free to share anything I might have missed or any extra info you want to add. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.